Good afternoon, Earthlings on planet Earth, wherever you may be. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible because I don't. My phone splits things into two. Um, I want to start off showing you something. Oh, I really hope it hasn't just lost what I was looking for. I bet it has. I have to go back in the house to get. Oh no, here we are. We're still there. I've just had a really big shock actually because I wanted to show you some things in Hove because I'll just get this picture of a bit bigger. I don't know how to close the bottom half of the map. But this is in Hove. This is on the seafront. See these grand houses. When I was a kid, Brighton was really in it. Brighton and Hove, they were in a terrible state. Absolute, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, property was very cheap. There was a lot of bomb damage. Benji, oh, that really serves you right. Good, I'm glad you banged your shoulder. And it's a screen record, by the way. Go away, man. This is why I hide in the garden, but then I lose reception because my family won't leave me alone. Anyway, there was a lot of bomb damage when I was a kid. And I just wanted to show you this because I only just found this out. My petrol station seems to have gone. Oh no! There's the sea. This is the old King Alfred petrol station. Don't know if you guys remember me telling you that I was so skint I could only afford to put £5 petrol in the car, and I had that big black Rover, you know, the one that was found on the precipice of Beachy Head, according to the drama queens in the Police and the Daily Mail. I used to go to this petrol station every day and put £5 in, because I couldn't afford anymore, and I'd just have to, yes, thank you, door slamming. Anyway, this petrol station had big plastic racks outside it with all the newspapers, and Princess Diana was on the cover every single day. And that's where I saw her all the time. I didn't buy the newspapers or read them. Anyway, so while I was looking at this, we've got the leisure centre over there. Now, I think I'm right in saying, I'm not 100% certain, but I think Isambard Kingdom Brunel stayed in Hove for a summer or something. He made a model of Hove out of matchsticks, you know, like one does for recreational purposes. Anyway, excuse me, when I was I think I was about 15. I had a mate and we went out round the town and we met a couple of boys and they said, come back to our place. And their place, can't remember exactly which one it was. It could have been this grand house, or I think it was actually this one with the red door. I can't remember. It was one of these on this curvy building, right? It looks very, very grand, doesn't it? And when we went in, it was a squat. It was full of people taking drugs. There were needles everywhere. Everybody was sort of living in a room on a mattress on the floor. It was incredibly basic. I was really shocked, really horrified. I couldn't believe people lived like that. And that was not uncommon for Brighton. That was quite typical. Brighton was really, really financially in trouble in the 70s and the 80s. And there was lots and lots of bomb damage. You'd quite often see like a building missing, and halfway up the wall where the gap was, there'd be a mantelpiece and wallpaper and stuff, and that was bomb damage. And in the war, my mother told me you couldn't get on the beach. They put all barbed wire. So there you go. I'm absolutely horrified. That feels like a piece of my heritage has disappeared. Oh my goodness. King Alfred petrol station. Big part of my history. Anyway, now, Sandy Parrott, marvellous, marvellous lady. I've got lots of pictures here. I took some off the family albums. Now, Sandy did some research into the family. This is Adelaide Mont Bristow. Now, on our family, I think they called them the Bristows because she wouldn't take her husband's name or something like that. And this is where she died. Apparently she was born in George Street. I don't know that I've got any pictures of Grandma Bristow. But Sandy also found, goodness gracious me, look at this guy. He's related to me, apparently. I think he's my father's uncle. I think that's who he is. Goodness. He was all dressed up smartly for his wedding. Look at that. She doesn't look too happy about it, but and he looks like he's, I don't know, got a gun to his head, or he's a bit stunned there, isn't he? Look at how they would dress up. I think that's a wedding. And also Sandy found out that I was actually going to keep it a secret. We've got a whole ton of coppers in our family. I'm only joking. Only joking. We're all incredibly proud of them. I won't name them because they are alive, and I do actually know some of them. Some of them don't speak to me because they're police officers. And she also found this, which was on the internet, and I'm guessing one of my relatives took this photograph and put it on the internet. This is the family grave. Nice argument every Christmas between my dad and my granddad, because my gran died when she was quite young, my dad's mum, and she's actually buried here. Holly Christina. There you are. And you can see her nickname was Sooty. I don't know why. She's from my dad's side of the family, not me and my mum and all that lot. And then they added people as and when plaques were added, and my mother's name was added years ago with a gap, which we all found quite horrifying, and then we had to pay them to fill in the gap. There's my mum and dad. So somebody went and took a picture. At least they've cut the grass. And we got this guy. That's Roy. He was a copper. He had a sister called Christine. She was a copper as well. And I think his son's a copper. That's his son. Sweet. And I think his son might be a copper. I'm not sure. And this guy is definitely a copper. But I can't remember which one Sandy said that was. But wow, that's a long time ago. So a lot of these people, I don't really know them. I think that's Roy. And I'm pretty sure my parents went to Roy's wedding because my dad was mates with that side of the family, and there's another one here who had the Twiddy family. I don't know anything about them, and apparently they had a pub. So Sandra's been just marvellous. It's fascinating the things that she's found out, and I can't remember whose grave that was. Well, Horace Cork. I think that might be this guy. Yeah. Don't know if you guys watch the Murdoch Mysteries. That's what people like him remind me of. Character from the Murdoch Mysteries. You could have a lot of fun with that character, couldn't you? Right. And she also found... whose thingy is that? That's... that's the census of my grandfather. And she found... Looking for it now. Excuse me. Oh, here we are. If you look there, Williamson Nellie, and it says regiment or corps when decoration was earned, and so they got some kind of general medal everybody got, but I know Nellie did get another medal. Now, if I go back and find Mariah, don't know if she's here. Oh yeah, there she is. This is young Mariah. Remember her in the corset? Graham found a picture of older Mariah nearer the time of the bombing when she was killed in Brighton. Now, where's she gone? There she is. So still, even though she was an older lady, very, very young, fresh-faced lady of advancing years. I mean, good grief, she's got amazing skin there. So that was her, would have been a few years before the bomb dropped. And this one's my father's. I'm only putting this up because it always embarrassed him quite a bit. That's my dad. And there's my mum and dad. Actually, I took the picture at the wrong angle and made my dad look tiny, like Meghan does to Harry all the time. And he wasn't. That's my mum and dad. That was their engagement party. They were, I think they were about 17 then. 17 or 18. Goodness me. And this is my dad in the middle. And his father, that's, we all called him Pop. But his name was Cyril. That's Cyril. And there's Holly Christina. She's the one who's buried in the family grave. She died when she was about my age, actually. And Sandra found all records of that as well. So there you go. And then there's my mum and dad again. They like dressing up. My mother made all her own clothes, all of them. They couldn't afford, Nellie and Kath couldn't afford dresses, and they also said, well, it's a waste of money anyway, so she made all her own clothes. And this is my gran. Okay, that's my mum's mum. And I'll show you Nellie as I remember Nellie. There's Nellie. And that is exactly how I remember her. Such a lovely lady. I never really understood why everybody was scared of her, but they were. And that's my mother's sort of portrait. She went to RADA, my mum, and I think that was one of her RADA shots. And there's my dad, again. That really embarrassed him. It's funny because his face never really changed, it would appear. Oh, look at the shoes he's wearing. Look at the shoes they put on boys then. They look like girls' shoes a bit, don't they? But no, he never really changed. That's how I remember my dad. Oh, and see his glasses. Oh, wow, aren't they stylised? When I was about 3 or 4, my father used to read the Daily Express. I know that because I used to colour the man in. When he finished with it, there was a soldier. They still have it. It's a man with a shield in a suit of armour, and I used to like colouring him in. And so I was sitting opposite the breakfast table. My father's reading the Daily Express. I'd have been about 3 or 4, so 1973, 74, something like that. And I saw this man, I think there were 2 of them. I think they were both on the front page. And they had the same glasses, you know, like these sort of really 1970s glasses. And I went, oh, Daddy, you're on the front of the newspaper. And when he looked, it was at least one of the Cray twins. Could have been both. He hit the roof. He said, how dare you? I don't look at anything like the Cray twins. Well, being a kid, I just associated it because the Cray twins, I'm pretty sure they both wore glasses like that. So he changed the style of his glasses and he got rid of the see-through bit and just had like solid. And this one here, that's my mum as a baby. And this dude here, that's Joe. He died when she was 18 months old. So, now I've got to show you our kitchen in 86 High Street, Lewes. Talk about being appropriate for Halloween. Get a load of the tiles in the kitchen. Isn't that awful? What were they thinking in the 1970s? And that's Kath. And that's exactly where she was standing when I cut my thumb off and went, oh my God. But obviously she wasn't laughing. I think that was Christmas. And there's another one of her at Christmas. And just to prove what the 1970s were like, my mother painted one of the walls in the living room orange, and it was like that for years. Harsh, man, very harsh. She was really getting into that 70s vibe. And she's not actually taller than my dad. She was just wearing heels and he was slouching. And Graham said, as soon as he saw this, he said, what's that big ring your dad's wearing? And I said, it's not, it's a fag. And remember these old jugs of water that people had all the time? Yes. So there you go. And finally, I've got a picture. Who do you think that is? I'll give you a clue. Dirty feet. And I'm not blacked up there. That was me. I guess I was about 6 years old there. Maybe a little bit older. Maybe a little bit younger. So there you go. Unless my mother blacked up my legs and feet. Maybe. So there you go. So thank you very, very much, Sandy. Let's have a look at this. What's this one? Yes, this is Nellie Williamson. She served from 1914 to 1915. She was a volunteer. British Red Cross Society and Order of St. John. And she was awarded a medal for her 1940. Oh, she got the 1914-15 star, which I think all medical personnel did who served in the trenches. And she was in France or Belgium, somewhere around there. She didn't really talk about it very much. And of course, when she was there in the First World War, I'll go back to a picture of Nellie. Where you gone? There you are. When she was a nurse in the First World War, my grandmother would have been really quite young and little. So no one ever really got the full details of it. Another lady said she's about to read some chronicles of a nurse that was there during that time. So, I mean, there would have been tens of thousands of them there, all different personnel. But you know, when she left and she came back to Brighton, she went to the hospital to get a job, and they wouldn't give her one. After she'd been in charge, really, of other nurses with operations, amputations, all kinds of nonsense going on, you can imagine, with the injuries in the trenches. She came back to civilian life and said, I served in the First World War as a nurse. And they said, no, you can't work here as a nurse. You haven't got any qualifications. You need to go to medical school. But what we'll do is we'll give you a job as an auxiliary. And she thought, stuff that, you cheeky monkeys. She probably had more experience with surgeons than they'd ever seen. I don't know if it was Brighton General or which hospital it was. It would have been one of the ones in Brighton. But how cheeky is that to just, as soon as the war's over, get knotted, don't need you. A bit like the way they treated Douglas Bader. And I think that's sort of a general consensus that when wars are on, they need people who are exceptional and hardworking and tough. And then when the war's over, it's all, you know, laxy-daisy, you can get knotted. And it stuck in her throat all her life. She resented that. And that's why she went on to become the manageress of Boots instead. And good for her. Good for her. She was mentioned in dispatches as well at one point. Now, let me just I think there was something else that Sandra found. I'm just looking for it now. Yes, here. Now, this is interesting because there's a lot of the bombing in Brighton that the documentation has become lost, or it just wasn't documented, and also from the First World War because of the damage done in Brighton. And obviously other cities were bombed. London was bombed to shit as well. But my mother said she was 12 when the house was bombed, and that would have been 1942. We can't find any records of it on the internet. They talk of the Brighton bombing raid 1944. I think they refer to another one in 1941, but not 42. So this is really lovely that Sandra found this. Let's have a look. Where's she gone? Williamson Maria. Now, her name was actually Maria, but everybody called her Mariah. Maria Williamson, age 73, of 31A, Compton Avenue, widow of Arthur Williamson, 12th of October 1942, and she died at 31A, Compton Avenue. There you go. So thank you, Sandra. And I double-checked the year because years ago, Graham and I did a video about the bombing. I went to my mum's flat and I interviewed her to check I got all the dates right. And I found that video and it said Luftwaffe bombing Brighton 1942. But I didn't know it was October. I don't think my mum could remember that much specific. So thank you very, very much, Sandra. And the other people who've emailed me with additional information. People like Brummy, Liz, and you're all fantastic. You really are. It's incredible. And it is very, very, very addictive, isn't it? I think, what's this here? Have a quick look at this one. It's incredible that all these records are here. Here we go. Arthur and Maria. So her husband would have been called Arthur, which makes sense because there was Nellie and there was a brother, my Uncle Arthur, well, my great Uncle Arthur, and he was adorable. Everybody loved Uncle Arthur. And then there was Kath, the youngest. Arthur and my gran were close in age, and he actually blackmailed her for, about 2 months. she broke something or she'd done something wrong and she was scared Mariah was going to get angry. So Arthur covered for her and then he blackmailed her for months and months. But eventually she got him back. So, there you go. It's strange, isn't it? And all these people have disappeared, except for me. So, there you go. Hope you all have a fabulous evening. Oh, and Rhea Snakespeare was doing ghost stories this morning at 11 o'clock UK time. So if you can work out where your time zone is for that. And she's doing another one at 8 o'clock UK time, which will be in a couple of hours. And Rhea, if I've got any of those details wrong, please comment and I'll pin it at the top. And if you could put a link to the Discord, because I always struggle to find that. And we had quite a lot of fun this morning. I might be on the one at 8 o'clock. I'm going to try to be. I've got a couple of things to do. But we had a lot of fun this morning and Googling and looking up all these haunted places that Rhea Snakespeare... Isle of Wight apparently seems to be the most haunted place in the United Kingdom, and that's where she's from. So she knows all about it. And the live tomorrow for Halloween will be at 9 o'clock in the evening, Spanish time. So that's 8 o'clock UK time. And I'm going to do it like that to make it easier for people in Australia and America and the UK and Europe, Israel and South Africa. Hopefully that will work out well for everybody. So 9 o'clock Spanish time, 8 o'clock UK time. And I will see you there tomorrow. Have a fabulous evening.